Welcome to the spring concert here at Wethersfield High School. If you don't know me, my name is Mr. Bowles. I'm the director of bands and orchestras here. The group in front of you is the WHS Jazz Band. It's an entirely volunteer group that meets after school. We meet about once a week. We took a little break there for a couple of weeks while we were in Florida, which we'll talk about later. That tune you heard is just sort of the live version of Flying Movie. You may be familiar with the Frank Sinatra version. Just a nice little change. This next tune, you probably heard it. You just don't know that you heard it. They certainly have thoroughly enjoyed learning it, because there's a lot of notes, a lot more notes than that. The tune's called Pick Up the Pieces. And before we get into that, I just want to say thank you to this group of students for all their work after school. I know a lot of them were balancing a lot of commitments and things this spring to make this happen, and I thoroughly enjoyed working with them. I hope you enjoyed the jazz band. The last tune, Pick Up the Pieces. on the stage. Orchestra set up, folks. Come out. Light switches.
the corner after you perform.
that tune is not in your program. That is Shipping Up to Boston by the Dropkick Murphys. If there are any New York Yankees fans in the crowd, I'm sorry. But not really. Just kidding. There's a tune in the program you want to hear tonight. It's called the Blue Ridge Reel. We decided to Blue Ridge Reel out. So we pulled out that tune last week, actually. I think we spent, I don't know, any of us said less than 4 hours. So not a lot of time on that tune, so it was really fun. Just something a little bit different, sort of the rock and roll vein a little bit. Before we jump into our next tune, I need my notes. I just wanted to take a minute to do a few recognitions. And if you are a senior in the orchestra, would you please stand up right now? And I just want to say publicly to these seniors how much I've really enjoyed the last 4 years together. I know a couple of them were a little weird and a little awkward, but hopefully they did okay. And I've just been incredibly humbled to share this time with you, and you guys have really been fantastic to work with, and I can't believe that technically it's the last day. So it's been a long time coming, just the four of you, and I thank you very much for your time here and all you've done for the orchestra. So thank you all very much. Give them one more round of applause. In the spring, I mean like 3 weeks ago, a handful of these students, about 25 of them, had the opportunity to go to Walt Disney World and perform at Disney Springs on the outdoor waterside stage out there. And this is one of the tunes that we prepared for that performance, and it's from a little movie called Up, and it's called The Spirit of Adventure. They're getting shifted around up here. I just want to take a second to recognize some individuals who received some awards over this last week. We have a couple of recognitions to give here in the orchestra this evening. And the first award and recognition I'd just like to give out here, she received this today, but This event actually took place a couple months ago, and I want to just congratulate our All-State Orchestra member this year, Ms. Amy Winner. On Wednesday night, we were grateful enough to award a National School Orchestra Award to our top violinist sitting up here. It just feels like it's been forever, but I'm moving on to Kaylee. But I just want to thank Kaylee again. She received her award the other day at the Academic Awards. I just want to thank her and congratulate her at this concert in front of all of you. And this year's recipient of the National School Orchestra Award was Kaylee Pennington. I have one more recognition that I would like to give out, and that is just a Director's Award to an individual who has given a lot of service to the organization, and it's been really fun to work with in the orchestra, and has really been a champion for it. And this year, she has really kind of blossomed into that role, and I've been really impressed with how she's worked with some of her colleagues outside of the orchestra, and how she's advocated to work so that this orchestra has the best experience that they can. And that's no accident that she was voted one of the ensemble representatives for this orchestra this year at the Instrumental Music Council, and that is Nancy Schenkel. This next tune, if you were at the Festival Orchestra concert, you got a chance to hear it, but we're excited to bring it back here tonight, and that is Lullaby. while they get shuffled for their next tune when it comes from me. I just want to congratulate the orchestra on a really fantastic year. It's kind of been a crazy year, and we'll talk some more about this as the concert goes on tonight, but these students have had a lot going on in the last few weeks, so this is just another checkbox. They have another performance next week on the graduation. They've certainly been a real huge blast to work with this year, and I've really enjoyed just to watch them grow over the course of just a few performances, especially in the last couple of months. Before we get to our last tune, I just want to mention, and some of you got some notices when you came in the door, that on Thursday, June 15th, we'll host a short meet and greet here in the band room at Wethersfield High School for all new and returning band and orchestra families. It's a chance for you to get to meet us, to meet each other, and to meet the fantastic booster organization that really helps make everything possible. I mentioned this Disney trip earlier, and without parent support, we can't operate that booster organization. We can't put on those type of events for these students. So we're hoping that you'll join us at that meet and greet, and for a short just time to come meet everybody, check out what's going on, and hopefully hear how you can help contribute to that organization so that we can continue to offer those amazing experiences to these students. Because I know a lot of them, well, I'd say all of them, have a really fantastic time on that trip, and we got to do a lot of cool things. They really enjoyed it, and we want to continue to do that in the future. But without your help, we can't do it. So hoping that all of you will come and join us and just find one little thing that you can do to help out that organization so we can continue to offer these amazing experiences for your students. The last piece that we're going to play is called Arlington Sketches by a famous American composer named Elliot Del Borgo, who I think has the coolest name ever for the record. But I just want to again say thank you all for being here tonight, and I hope you enjoyed the concert orchestra's last.
taking way too long.
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
I'd like to, as we did with the orchestra, ask any senior in the concert band here tonight, besides the trumpets, to stand on up and be recognized. So seniors, please stand up. We were fortunate enough to have a small gathering last Friday and talk about each senior, but I just want to collectively as a group just share how much they've meant to this group, especially over some years we're all going to forget about, but hopefully, which is fine. But it's really been the heart and soul of the organization, really helped it survive, not only survive, but just thrive over the last few years, and really led to a lot of great things this year. So I just want to once again, after like 100th time, I've said it in 2 weeks, but I want to do it again, because this is the last time I did it. I just want to thank them for all their hard work and dedication to the organization. You wouldn't be doing these kind of things that are really nice. So seniors, thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate you. I want to take a second to recognize a couple of folks who were honored at the Band Orchestra banquet last Friday. They were the recipients of the Henry Podolak Memorial Scholarship. It's a scholarship that was created in memory of the former band director of Wethersfield High School, Mr. Henry Podolak, just last year by his former students and the alumni of the organization. We get to continue to offer this scholarship because of their generous donations. And students and families, when you become alumni, we hope that you consider donating to that as well, so that we can continue to offer a scholarship to graduating seniors of the Band and Orchestra program. So I want to just congratulate those awardees once again, and that is Eileen Escobar and Abby Montez. Would you stand up? This next piece I'll give just a short introduction to. I'm sure you've read about it in your program notes, but if you haven't, I just want to speak to it because I think it goes a long way to understanding the piece and where it is and put it into some context. And it's something that we've talked about as a band, and it's something I feel is really important as we play music to understand it and why it really was written. And so the piece in front of you is called American Elegy, written by composer Frank Kelly. And he wrote it for the Columbine High School band on the 1-year anniversary of that horrific event. And he wrote the piece as not necessarily a memorial, but as really something that he describes in his program notes very well. And so I just want to take the time to read a little bit from that so that you can hopefully gain a little bit of what he was attempting to create with this wonderful piece of music here today. And so Frank Kelly wrote, American Elegy is, above all, an expression of hope. It was comprised in memory of those who lost their lives at Columbine High School on April 20th, 1999, and to honor the survivors. It is offered as a tribute to their great strength and courage in the face of terrible tragedy. I hope the work can also serve as a reminder of how fragile and precious life is and how intimately connected we all are as human beings. And it's his last sentence in this short program note that I think really sums up the connection of the piece. It's something that we uniquely get to experience as a band and as a music-making community here in Wethersfield. And it's something that I think we can think about as we move through this piece of music, because the subject matter itself, yes, is challenging, but the message that the composer is intending, I think, is something we all can sincerely appreciate, of how connected we are and how music can really connect us. And he wrote a really beautiful piece of music, and in the middle of it, there's a quote from the Columbine High School alma mater, which he also wrote for the school. And it's a really beautiful moment that everything leads to, and the words that accompany that moment, I think, are something that we can all gain something from. And it's a short, simple phrase, but I know it means a lot to that community, and I think it's important that we recognize that here tonight. And the main theme and the main phrase is, we are Columbine, we are all Columbine. And we hear that come through right in the middle. I'm sure you'll pick it out. We put this piece together in a very short amount of time, and so it's a real testament to their work, and I think it's a fitting tribute to our community and to those students in that community. While we transition again a little bit, I would also like to congratulate and thank publicly again some students who have received some awards and accolades as part of the band program this year. I know there's a whole slew of shuffling going around. But the first person I want to congratulate is the recipient of this year's John Philip Sousa Award for Band. This goes to not only a top-level musician, but also a strong leader and advocate for the band here in the Wethersfield High School program. It's again a national award that is awarded every year. I'm happy to congratulate Ms. Megan Lipka, who received that award this year. This next individual received an award as part of the entire Fine Arts Department here at Wethersfield High School from the Connecticut Association of Schools, and was also selected as the Instrumental Student of the Year. And again, it's just a fantastic human being who's done a lot for this program, and we would like to just congratulate her one more time, and that's Ms. Olivia Krause. We also awarded two students the Marine Corps Semper Fidelis Award for leadership and excellence in the band program. And it's an award that goes out to students who are not necessarily selected just for their playing ability, but also because they're strong representatives and great leaders and great teammates as part of the band program. And we really want to thank and congratulate those two folks, and that was Emily Dogan and Anna Contest. And the last recognition I'd like to give tonight is to an individual who has done a whole lot for not just this band, but also bands in Wethersfield in general. In the last couple of years has been a great asset to not just the high school band, but also a lot of work with younger students and volunteering his time and energy for that. And you can always see him running around doing a whole bunch of stuff for everybody and never really asking for a thank you. And so tonight I just want to thank him publicly for all that he has done for this program and give him the Director's Award for the band this year, and that is Mr. Samuel Corwin. All right. Now we're on to lightning tube. That's a fun tune. We're going to close out with just one quick oldie but a goodie. It's not really that old, but it feels old. Something completely different. It's a jazz tune from the movie The Incredibles. It's sort of the main theme throughout that. But before we go tonight, I just want to say thank you to everybody here this evening. I want to say thank you to Mr. Tucky up there in the booth. I want to say thank you to Dr. Green, who's recording as always. The fees going up for every concert. I also want to say thank you to the custodial staff of Wethersfield High School, the administration of Wethersfield Public Schools for all the support of the arts. Parents, I want to say thank you to you because you run in here, you come to all these things, you bring in here to this, and hopefully tonight is just a nice reward for you to enjoy all of our hard work. It has really been a fantastic year, it's sort of a monumental year, and I haven't talked too much about everything that we've done, but just to kind of put things into context, we've had a performance every week for the last 3 weeks. Before that, we were in Disney. 4 weeks before that, we did a festival concert. There was a musical like 2 weeks before that. 6 weeks before that was the December concert. 2 weeks before that was the Thanksgiving football game in the marching band season. So it's been a busy year. I tried to do the math today, but I'm sure the band is somewhere up in 50 or 60 public performances this year. And this isn't even the last one. We got one more next week. And so they've been a fantastic group of going through all of this and bringing all this to our community and putting on this concert for you this evening. And I just want to congratulate them and thank them for what was an awesome year. We did a lot of cool, amazing things all the way from playing at MetLife Stadium to the marching of Israel just a couple weeks ago. So we kind of have gone all over this Eastern Seaboard this year. So I just want to say thank you to all of you, and I hope you've had a great year. We got one more gig after this and one more tune tonight, but I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope all of you enjoy our last piece this evening, The Incredibles.
Yeah, what's up?